What's up guys, Sky King here with Project Consume. Today we are going to be talking about the economics of plastic. A huge portion of Project Consume is trying to look at the costs of our throwaway culture.
Yeah, so you kind of have to look at the problem from two sides. You've got the producer side, in which we're producing a lot of plastic-related objects, not only items themselves, but packaging that's associated with all these items that we're producing. So on the production side, you may get the case where you're generating what are known as externalities, any kind of pollution, any kind of particulate matter, any kind of environmental bads that are generated in this entire production process. So that's the production side. Then on the consumption side, we have the case where if people are consuming items that come in plastic packaging, plastic housing, plastic casing, all that stuff, if it doesn't get recycled, gets thrown away. Well, the question is, where is that away? When you throw something away, where does it go? It still exists in the world.
So plastics are made of polymers, which are really gigantic molecules, usually in long lines that stack together to give materials different properties. And there are two main types of polymers or plastics. One is called an addition polymer, and it looks something like this. So this is a model that represents the black balls are carbons and the white are hydrogens. And this might be, if it went on for a long time, what polyethylene would look like. And low-density polyethylene is in your plastic bags at the grocery store. High-density polyethylene might be the top to your plastic bottles, your water bottle. So the thing about polyethylene is if you look at the backbone, these are all carbon-carbon bonds. Those are really stable. So when it comes to recycling, oftentimes these plastics are going to be repurposed. So the top on your water bottle might end up being a little bit of a part of a plastic lawn chair. But they're really hard to break down in the environment because these carbon-carbon bonds are so stable. Another type of polymer is a condensation polymer. And so these are terms like polyester or polycarbonate, maybe a polyamide, sort of like what's in protein in your body. And this is an example of a condensation polymer. And you'll notice a difference is that we've got these red atoms in there. And in this case, this is a polyester, and the red atoms are oxygens. And in the backbone of the polymer, you can see that there's some carbon-oxygen bonds. Those are easier to break down. So this is something that with some water and heat and time might be able to break down in the environment. But these kinds of plastics have different properties. So the makeup of your plastic really determines how you can recycle or break down in the environment.
If you look back at the data back from like 50 to 100 years ago, you see that resource reuse was much more prevalent back in the day than it is nowadays. So reusing glass bottles, reusing bags, reusing fabrics, all that kind of stuff is much more common back in the day. Technology has made it such that it's cheaper to create this throwaway society where we use something one time, throw it away, we don't need to worry about it anymore. So technology has helped us in the sense that it's generated consumer goods that are good for us, that are cheap for us, that we can consume and get some use out of, but it's also created this, as you say, throwaway culture.
Yeah.
So,
which is short-term cheaper.
It is absolutely short-term cheaper, but the problem is that we're not taking the social cost of all this type of throwaway culture into account when we're calculating what the actual prices are.
Yeah.
So an environmental economist would pay attention to that and say, hey, there's a social cost involved with this type of consumption. We need to take that into account in order to get an accurate reflection of what consumption and production should be.
The chemical makeup of the polymers that make up your plastics make a big difference when it comes to how they break down in the environment. So while some can be repurposed, they might not be very good at being broken down, and then we'll have to live in that waste if we throw it out.
See, for example, you see thousands and thousands and thousands of basically artisanal crafted items that are made by somebody, not a corporation, not an individual that's trying to do something like maximize profits and just minimize costs, regardless of what the cost to the environment is, but people who are producing goods and services with an eye towards some kind of sustainability and some kind of reuse possibility. So I'm really, really optimistic in that respect.